Here I'm going to just briefly reference a paper and study of safety and efficacy of ashwagandha root in reducing stress and anxiety in adults. I think that the most interesting result is that taking 300 milligrams of ashwagandha twice a day led to enormous changes in serum cortisol. Statistical significance that they observed in the study was really fantastically high statistical significance. So ashwagandha is very potent at reducing cortisol.
Welcome back to Biohacking Insights. In today's video, Dr. Andrew Huberman reveals the neurochemical hack of the wonder drug, ashwagandha. What makes it so great, and why does Dr. Huberman recommend it? Ashwagandha belongs to a group of plants known as adaptogens, which are beneficial to health when consumed raw or as teas, powders, tinctures, or supplements. Also called winter cherry, Indian ginseng, ashwagandha is an herbal shrub with berries and roots that are part of Indian traditional medicine. Ashwagandha enhances muscle growth and strength, reduces blood sugar and fat, enhances sexual function and fertility, eases tension and anxiety, and improves memory and focus. Dr. Huberman draws attention to ashwagandha's ability to reduce stress and anxiety. How does the wonder drug buffer stress? It does so by regulating the stress hormone cortisol. According to research published on the National Database of Biotechnology Information, ashwagandha root extract has been reported to improve mental well-being and eating behaviors and reduce stress through its adaptogenic properties, along with maintaining normal endocrinological balance. See how ashwagandha affects cortisol. Dr. Huberman had mentioned earlier that you want your cortisol peak to come earlier in the day. Therefore, you would not want to buffer cortisol early in the day because the cortisol peaking early in the day provides anti-inflammatory, immune-supporting, focus and mood-supporting effect all day long. So Dr. Huberman recommends that people take their first dose of ashwagandha anywhere from 250 to 300 milligrams sometime in the early afternoon and again in the evening, as opposed to taking a morning dose and an afternoon dose. Also, if you're somebody who's exercising for the sake of trying to induce adaptations like hypertrophy, the growth of muscles or strength, or improve your endurance in any way, muscular endurance or more traditional cardiovascular endurance, then the famed neuroscientist advises that you not take your ashwagandha prior to exercise because part of this adaptation response is triggered by increases in cortisol during exercise. Sort of in the same way that some of the best adaptations to exercise are reductions in blood pressure and the resting heart rate, and those are stimulated by increases in blood pressure and increase in heart rate during exercise. If you're enjoying this video, please leave a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So the takeaway is pretty simple. If you're interested in using ashwagandha as an adaptogen, it's advised that you restrict it to later in the day if you can, and not before exercise. Adaptogens are plants and mushrooms that help your body respond to anxiety, fatigue, stress, and enhance your well-being, and ashwagandha is definitely a plus in that category. What you should do is divide your ashwagandha into 2 doses of 250 to 300 milligrams. That's what's best for you.
And then a very important final point about ashwagandha, which is that if you're going to take ashwagandha, I recommend not taking it for longer than a month and a half, as they did in this study. After about 30 days maximum, I would take at least 2 to 4 weeks off. 2 weeks is probably enough, but 4 weeks off because you don't want to chronically buffer cortisol. It's just not a good idea.
Ashwagandha is a very powerful adaptogen, and Dr. Huberman places the wonder drug at the top of the list of supplement-based adaptogens. But keep in mind that even if you're taking a supplement-based adaptogen, there's no reason to abandon the nutrition and behavioral type adaptogenic effects that you can create through eating dark leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables.
The other 2 supplement-based adaptogens, as I mentioned, are lion's mane mushroom and chaga. And I get asked a lot about lion's mane and chaga for sake of their purported roles in acting as nootropics, as quote-unquote smart drugs. There are fewer data on the beneficial roles of lion's mane and chaga for sake of nootropic effects. We'll do an entire episode on nootropics at some point.
That said, there is good data showing that 1,000 milligrams, that is 1 gram, of lion's mane per day and or chaga mushroom at 500 to 1,500 milligrams per day can act as adaptogens in reducing cortisol, but also and mainly reducing some of the anti-inflammatory cytokines that are known to circulate in high abundance when you're under a lot of psychological and/or physical stress. Things like interleukin-6 and some related molecules. So here's what Dr. Huberman recommends. If you're interested in exploring adaptogens, focus mainly on taking supplements in single ingredient formulations so that you can figure out what dosages are best for you and you can toggle in and out of these adaptogens as needed. Dr. Huberman reveals he's a fan of taking certain blends and mixes that we are talking about, and he's taken them for a decade. Add 1,000 milligrams of chaga per day and see how that further benefits your system in terms of buffering stress. How would you measure if your stress is being reduced? You're going to be sleeping better at night. You're going to feel subjectively better, lower levels of anxiety. Now, of course, there's nothing preventing you from taking 600 milligrams of ashwagandha, a gram of lion's mane, and a gram of chaga. Dr. Huberman admits he's a big believer in really trying to isolate which supplements and molecules work best for you and which ones don't. Do you need to cycle on and off lion's mane and chaga? Dr. Huberman is not aware of any data showing that you do. If, however, you're taking them every day, he recommends that you cycle off after a period of 30 days or shorter, as we've mentioned. There's no reason why you couldn't take them, even for just one day. Although the effects tend to be a bit cumulative, at least when you're talking about buffering anxiety. In terms of buffering cortisol, that's a very potent effect that, as far as we know, is going to take place on day 1. Is there any solid evidence that it has an effect on neurotransmitters or the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or HPA axis, which is part of the stress modulation axis? The HPA axis combines information from the peripheral endocrine feedback, autonomic processes, light and temperature cues from the environment, and inputs from the upper cortex. The pituitary gland, in turn, receives precise signals from the hypothalamus and releases hormones that affect the majority of the body's endocrine systems. The best evidence is that adaptogens can reduce cortisol itself. There is very little evidence that adaptogens can directly modulate neurotransmitters or neuromodulators like dopamine, serotonin, etc. But adjusting the timing and levels of cortisol, especially in the afternoon and evening, that is going to have indirect effects on levels of dopamine, norepinephrine, etc., and serotonin, but not direct effects. That indirect control over neurotransmitters is substantial and is important. And if you do what Dr. Huberman described in our previous video on the Dr. Huberman morning routine, that should also push down your stress levels. Mindfulness meditation, a 5-minute daily practice, has been shown to reduce cortisol levels and anxiety. Dr. Huberman recommends a 5-minute deliberate breath work, including double inhale, full exhale, and repeat, to alleviate stress and anxiety. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our life-changing videos. If you enjoyed this video, check out the Huberman hacks on the mental habits of the highly successful. Stay tuned.